Today we'll be giving context on what I wish I didn't learn in film school.
Sorry.
Today we're going to be giving context on film school, whether you should or shouldn't. I'm Weston, I'm a film director, and I own a film production company.
And my name is Jamie, and I started out as a first AC, and then I've become a production designer.
Yeah, and an art director, right?
And then, well, they're kind of hand in hand.
Kind of the same thing. So today we got a question, two questions that are kind of similar. One is from Jonathan. He says, hey, I'm 16. I want to be a filmmaker. I'm leaving Canada next month. Which school should I go to? And then the second one by Ben says, did you go to film school? Kind of asking COMV, maybe myself, because sometimes I wear a Full Sail shirt.
I thought you went there when I saw that when I started working with you.
Just set the record straight. I did not go to Full Sail University. I had a cousin who's the assistant to the president, and she got me some really cool swag. But no, I personally never went to film school. So this question is going to be a little more directed at Jamie, with your experiences of going to a pre-college film school. And then we'll kind of talk a little bit about some of, I guess, our opinions and experiences with people who have gone to film school and who have not.
It's a very like personal question, I feel like, to ask which school should I go to, because it doesn't really, it just depends on the person and who you are and what you want to become and where you want to go. No person becomes a filmmaker by going to film school. Like, filmmakers, when you come into the industry, they don't look for that. The after-school film program that I went to, they had a program where they would raise about like $2,000 for a group of students, and then you'd make a film. And then we came out with 4 films at the end of the year, and they would send them off to festivals and stuff. But the whole idea behind it was that the students did absolutely everything on their own. They had to find the subjects if it was for a documentary. They had to do all the casting themselves and like work with the budget and learn how to do it all, along with like how to make money off of this and what to do with a narrative project once it's finished.
You guys are shooting with, full film equipment. You guys had a Red, if I recall.
We were shooting with a Red. It depended on the project.
Yeah, but it wasn't like some small, I guess, kind of make sure everybody realizes, even though it is a pre-college film school, it was very legit.
Yeah.
And you're shooting with the same equipment that you would be shooting in a film school.
Yeah.
And a lot of the teachers had experience. Really, it was as close as, I would say, in observance of, as close you can get to an actual college film school, but it was just for people before they got to college.
Well, and at the time, too, a lot of my friends were in college, and they all had access to film equipment, but it wasn't even as good as ours. But school equipment tends to be really beat up, and a lot of schools won't actually let you use the equipment till you're like 2 or 3 years into school, which, when I was starting out and everyone's like, oh, are you going to film school? I was like, oh, heck no, I'm going to work now because I want to use the equipment. I want to actually make stuff. And so, if you're starting out wanting to be a filmmaker and you've never used equipment before, you don't know you don't know the terminology to use on set, you don't know like what the work environment's like, being on a film set first before you go to school is so much better. Because it's funny, because one of the things about filmmaking, and everyone I noticed who was a college student around my age who went to school for it, most people just drop out because they can't handle it.
Yeah.
Filmmaking is really stressful. It's like the most stressful thing ever. And it's like, when you become a filmmaker, it's not just like a job choice, it's like a lifestyle choice. It's like, for the rest of your life, you're like signing your soul away. Really.
Well, there's a lot of effort required in lots of various areas that never get noticed.
Yeah.
So it's like, you put hours and hours and hours into building a prop or setting up lighting. It's like, no one's going to notice, but it looks great.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to be willing to, that's why I think how you said it as a lifestyle is such a good way to put it. Because it is truly it's a decision of how do you want to dictate everything kind of going forward, the quality and the effort that you put into it, even though you may or may not get paid, or you may not get paid as much as what you're putting effort into.
Yeah.
To complement what you said, that counsel to get on a film set first before going to school is huge. One thing that we've realized is at least for me, as I've gone to either hire people who went to film school, I've realized that everybody who went to film school first has had no idea of how to actually apply the knowledge they learned. But on the contrary, I realized that people who went to film sets and made short films and did all this stuff before they ever even thought about going to film school, then they realized what they were bad at. And they said, great, I'm going to go to school to learn how to be a better lighter or a better writer or something like that. Those people got so much more out of film school than someone who just went to film school because they had no clue what to do and they thought films were cool.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of that have the experience first, get some experience, and then seek out the additional knowledge.
There is the group called the Utah Film Commission here, and they were offering PA certification classes. And it was like $100 to sign up, and I went through the program to do that. And I was like trained by some AD who works on a Disney show or something, very well known. and
you got a job through that.
Yeah, I got several jobs through that. And it's just
for
really,
$100. So it's like
$100 versus paying how much would you go to college for? And
tuition,
I'm getting work from just paying $100,
So there's a lot of different ways to go. Again, not to discredit film schools. I was looking into going into film school when I was first getting into it. I mean, not really first getting into it. I'd been doing throughout all of high school, I've been making films galore, doing short films, doing commercials, winning film festivals. And so my next
And
stop...
you don't have to win film festivals to be a good filmmaker. I just want to say that because I got one honorable mention the entire time period. I was in high school.
And for us, like, my thought process now is I don't even care about film festivals personally now as what we're doing now, because we realize a lot of times it just... a waste, but that's a thing for another day. We'll talk about another context. But so my next thought was like, okay, cool, I've been doing this through high school. Maybe film school is right. And I went to a film school and toured multiple film schools. One was Full Sail, where my cousin did stuff, and super cool facility, awesome sets and stuff. But as I kind of went through all these different film schools, the biggest thing I kept realizing was as I showed them what I had done in high school, they were like, wow, that's as good or better than our graduates. And it was like, okay, cool. Does that mean I can get in? And they're like, no, that means that
you're like everybody else.
Yeah, that means that you have to do this like crazy long submission process, and you got to do your 2 years of generals. And then after your 2 years of generals, you can get into, I mean, Full Sail wasn't that way. Full Sail gets you straight into it. But some of the other more traditional colleges, it was like, I couldn't even get to filming stuff until year 3. And it was like, what?
I'm already
filming stuff. It's like, what is the point of that?
Yeah. Like, there's no set path to becoming a filmmaker, and there's no... It really just depends on the person, and it's not about what school you go to. It's about who you meet when you're there, and it's about what kind of connections you get and who you're friends with and where they want to go and where you want to go. And if you find a group of people that are filmmakers that all have like the same vision, or if there's one person who has a really strong vision and everyone follows them, then you can get really far just from doing that.
Yeah, and the connections are great. I think connections is one thing that a film school can offer, not always. I think people assume that just because it's a film school, there's great connections.
It's kind of just like luck.
Yeah, sometimes you have the worst teachers in the world who have the worst connections in the world, and then it's like you're stuck with that. But sometimes there's really great connections that you can get from. There's one college here. There's 3 colleges in where we live in Utah. I guess universities, not colleges. I always forget there's a difference between a college and a university.
Is there?
Yeah, colleges are small, universities are big.
Okay.
So there's 3 universities here in where we live in Utah, and all 3 of them teach some type of film program. And there's 2 that we will never hire, or we've never hired anybody from, because their film programs just teach them so many kind of weird ways about going about things and don't really offer them experiences to be productive. But there is one that the university does a great job of providing awesome connections and awesome skill set.
It really just depends on who you know and who the teacher is. I wouldn't even research which school you should go to, but who the teachers are.
That's great insight.
If you are really passionate about filmmaking and it's really what you want to do, it might even be more so worth it to like hire somebody or work for a specific filmmaker who's like who you look up to and you want to be where they are.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way: school tuition costs anywhere from, usually a smaller school will be like, what, $3,000 a semester, up to, I mean, you could be up to $15,000 a semester.
Well, to go to the community college here for like a year, it's like $10,000.
Oh, okay. And I mean, I've known schools, you know, $75,000 a semester, $100,000 a semester.
Yeah.
So it's like you take that range, but like if you took that $10,000 that you said for a year at a community college
and made how many films with that money and made the experience?
That's one way to go. But you could also go to someone who is a professional filmmaker and say, hey, I will pay you $10,000 to personally mentor me.
Yeah, just for me to sit and watch. 'Cause even like for us, we're in Utah, there's a group called the Utah Film Commission, and they like help any big films, even if they're from LA or something, that come through. Like Pirates of the Caribbean was shot here. The Film Commission helped them find the location.
Yeah.
And so...
And any state that you're in within the United States most likely has a film commission.
Yeah. When I got my first like real film job, it was offered to me. I wasn't offered any money. I just showed up and was working, and then they were like, how would you like to be paid? And I was like, that's kind of just a bonus, but sure, that's great for me. So...
And the reason why we hired Jamie, just to kind of finalize this thought process of, a lot of people think, if I don't go to film school, how am I going to get hired? The reason we hired Jamie is, and the reason why we've hired anybody in our company is, one, because we like them as a person. They're teachable, and then they add value. Meaning that the talents and ambitions that she had, that she brought to the company, added value to our company, which then made it worth it for us to pay her because she was helping us add value to our clients. But the fact that she was teachable made it so much easier. And one thing that I've realized is I've interviewed individuals who've come to apply to work at our company, who've gone to film school and have, you know, all these big things behind their name, these big teachers that they've worked with, and you know, even sometimes like big sets that they've been on. A lot of times they aren't likable people. And it's like, you can be the best cinematographer in the world, but if you don't get along with the rest of my team, I don't want you on set.
Yeah.
Because you're going to ruin the atmosphere for everybody.
And that's like one of the biggest compliments we get is like when the team is working together, everyone's like, wow, like you guys work so well together.
Yeah.
And it feels really good to hear that.
And the second thing is, we notice a lot of people who go to film school tend to come out of it being unteachable.
Yeah.
Because they're very fixed in, well, that's not how I learned it.
I even get people my age who come up to me and meet me, and they're like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, you don't know what you're doing. And, like, they just start kind of throwing me down. I'm like, what are you doing?
And so you run into the issue of people being non-teachable.
Yeah.
And when they're not teachable, it's like, you can be good at whatever you are, but I recognize that you actually won't progress.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times why we haven't hired any filmmaker or any students of filmmaking schools, because there was no room for progression.
Yeah.
They were just stuck with what they'd learned from a teacher who, in some cases, taught them knowledge from 20 years ago. So
it's modern ages, guys.
And so it was hard because it's like, I can't teach you, you're not pleasant to have on set, and it's like, well, just go back to film school.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing about this industry is it's all a connections industry. It's all networking. If you have a hard time being positive on a film set and you have a hard time
being pleasant,
communicating and being pleasant, then you're never going to be invited back, and nobody wants to work with you, and they're going to tell everybody they know, don't work with this person because they're terrible. So,
or you'll just work with a bunch of negative people,
or you'll just
because
work with
negative people love
people.
working around negative people.
Yeah. So I mean, if that works for you, then
go ahead.
Good luck. If you're really passionate and you want to be around really good people and have a really great work environment, and for me, one of my goals for my life is to feel like I never want to feel like I'm working. I want to feel like I'm playing and having a good time. And so for me, having like a really wonderful job and working with wonderful people and always really enjoying what we're working on and places that we're going, it feels really good. And it feels really satisfying. And it's almost like because my family can see that happiness that I feel, why would they question me?
Yeah, now they start to turn and love the idea of it.
Yeah.
So cool. Jonathan, Ben, thank you guys so much for your questions. Hope you guys were able to get some great content out of Jamie's experiences and some of my thoughts. If you guys have questions of your own about filmmaking, be sure to leave it either in the comments below, but actually the easier way for us to keep track of it is head on over to context.comv.org and submit one of your questions to the survey that we have over there. Thank you guys. We look forward to hearing your questions. We look forward to helping you guys on your own filmmaking journeys. See ya.
Bye.